welcome to Berkshire Guitar Amplifier Repairs in Reading, England. Stuart Smith here, as always, on the bench, and I have a orange Matamp ORST. Quite a rare amp, actually. Quite early. I don't know when they were made. I'll have to look it up. Early 60s, I would guess. And this amp, you won't really find much information about it on the internet. I can't find a schematic for it, apart from a hand-drawn one for the preamp side of things. And all of my usual contacts have also failed to come up with a schematic for it, so we're going to have a bit of a challenge here. The main problem on this amp is it has some hum, and we need to find out what's causing it. Of course, that could be a lot of things. It could be smoothing capacitors, it could be a hum loop, it could be imbalance on the output tubes, it could be a ton of stuff. So I think the first thing to do is we'll get it switched on and see if we can hear the annoying hum which the customer is complaining about. Okay, we're plugged in, we have a speaker plugged in, we have a guitar plugged in. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Wait for it to warm up. Funny old amp, it's got these switchable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 position depth and 4 position drive. Weird, really. Boost, I guess that's some sort of gain control, and volume here. Okay, it's warmed up, I can hear. So it's working, which is good. Quite quiet, that. That is getting a bit of drive, this boost. Okay, so it's working. Let's see if we can hear this hum. Let's take the guitar out so that we can go hum chasing now. It seems right at the moment. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so look at... I'll bring the camera a bit closer in a moment so that you can hear this, but at 0 to 50%, which isn't terribly loud when we plug the guitar in. There's a bit of hum there, it's about what I'd expect. And as I turn it up, about there, the hum gets considerably worse, and then at the highest level, there's no hum again. So very little hum on full volume, what I would call unacceptable hum on 3/4, dropping down to acceptable on half. So that tells me immediately a few things, but let me first of all just bring the camera a bit closer to the speaker in case you weren't able to hear that. Okay, so this is like 50% volume. Full volume, you can hear the hiss there, and then here's the hum position. Which, as you can hear, is kind of on the unacceptable level. So what that tells me, or indicates to me I should say, there's never any certainty in this business, is that it probably isn't smoothing caps, HT caps, although the customer does want the HT caps changed on this amp anyway. If it was HT caps, it would be a loud hum regardless pretty much of the volume control. It certainly wouldn't go off when you turned up the volume and disappear when you turn it down to half. So this is some sort of hum loop situation, is my guess, which means we're in for, it could be a really long haul. Hum loops are extremely difficult to find, particularly as with this amp I don't know whether it came out of the factory like this, and quite likely it did. Anyway, let's get the chassis out. I've already taken the screws out, and we'll take the chassis out, get it upside down on the bench, and make a start on seeing if we can improve this situation where we get a lot of hum there, no hum there, and no hum there. That's an odd one, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, welcome back. Since the last bit of video, several days have passed, and I thought of just dumping out this video and not publishing it, but I want to retain it for a couple of reasons. First of all, this Matamp is very rare and old, and you won't get a chance to see one of these ORSTs again, so I thought I'd like to show it to you. And the second thing is the hum problem turned out to be very, very intractable. I spent about 6 hours on it, but I've come up with a really weird solution I'm going to try live on camera, something I've never done before, and I thought you just might be intrigued to see what I'm going to do, having tried and failed completely to address that hum issue. So anyway, before we get into that, let me just show you the top side of this amp. As you can see, the paint is in quite a bad condition. I might try and do something to try and stabilise that. I might just try putting some varnish on or something. Quite tricky. I have recapped this amp completely and revalved it, so it's got brand new Marshalls in, brand new Marshall EL34s, much better than the JJs, and 2 new EC83s. I found an old valve can which I've put on V1. I've changed the 2 caps here. Here's the old bag of bits, and the old caps were quite kind of interesting, wrapped in yellow tape, and definitely seen better days those have, so I've replaced those. I'll show the underside in a moment. I've been unable to find out what this does. This max, it says max there. I mean, also that's showing you the maximum condition. I twiddle it, it does absolutely nothing whatsoever that I can find out. It's certainly not biased, by the way. And it's got one of these unusual mains plugs, which I happen to have. And that's it for the top side. So let's flip it over and have a look on the underside. Okay, here we are on the underside. There's the underside of the 2 HT caps, look, which I replaced, and I've replaced these 2. These are the bias caps. I've replaced these 2, this one, and those 2, and this one. So I've replaced all the electrolytic capacitors. He wanted it done anyway, they were very old, and I thought it might just cure the hum problem, even though, if you remember, I wasn't convinced it was an HT hum. But it needed doing anyway, so we did that, and it didn't have any effect whatsoever on the hum. I also made this shield up here, which shields the preamp side of things. It was very buzzy, different from hum, a bit more of a sort of noisy buzz, and when I put this shield on, I quietened it down a lot, so that's a big improvement on the input side. Hasn't touched that mains hum though, that's still present. Everything else I think you'll agree looks pretty clean. I don't know whether someone's been in here before, but these grid resistors and stuff are all good. It's all quite clean inside. The diode, I could change that for a better bridge rectifier. There's the diode which does the negative bias voltage. I could have changed that, but they're both working. There's a funny kind of shonky arrangement here. This is some sort of a variable resistor here. I think it's some sort of hum balance on the heater side. It's come disconnected here. I did put that back on and move this around, and nothing whatsoever happened. I also, well, let's backtrack now and tell you what I did to try to find this hum. Now, if you've seen some of my other hum chasing videos, you know I'm pretty good at finding hum loops. It's something I've done a lot of, and you can normally quieten down the hum by various shenanigans. Now on this amp, nothing that I did over a 6-hour period had any effect at all on the hum, and I mean not even 1% variation, just constant hum on this, if you remember, on this 3/4, I think it's this one, 3/4 setting on the volume control, the worst hum position, let's call it. Nothing touched it. So let me tell you what I have done. I changed all the smoothing caps. That was a logical thing to do. See if there's any hum on the HT. There wasn't. I've got a hefty old chunk of wire which I use. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it here. It's this piece of wire here. Look, it's quite short, but it's real kind of thick 100 amp kind of cable, and I can use this to short earthing points from one to the other. So in other words, I can come out the mains earth and I can tap it on the bodies of these pots, Does that reduce the hum? I can go on to here. Does that reduce the hum? I can go on to the negative of the smoothing. Does that do it? I can go on to some of the board earths. Does that do it? And normally with a hum loop you can find something that, and very interesting, you know, shorting this negative here across to here should be the same anyway, they're both at chassis potential. Suddenly the hum goes down by half. So you can think, okay, maybe I'll run a thick cable from there to there or whatever. You can mess around and get to the stage where adding some extra earthing will reduce the hum to a tolerable level. So I did all that for the best part of an hour and literally nothing changed, much to my surprise. So then coming back over here, it's quite a common arrangement to have a kind of heater balance circuit where you take both heaters via a 100 ohm resistor, so 200 ohm resistors to ground, and that kind of reduces the hum on the heater circuit. So I put 200 ohm 1 watt resistors here, took them to ground, literally no change whatsoever. And I'll stop saying literally no change. Take it from me from here on in that nothing I did changed the hum by anything at all, by 1/10 of 1%. Nothing at all changed. So tried that, didn't make any difference. Tried earthing out various things, didn't make any difference. I was giving up. Oh, of course, the next thing is lead dress. So basically, here's my little kind of insulated chopstick here. Quite often you can find, you start doing this kind of thing, the hum goes down a bit, or you get a loud hum, quieter hum, you think, yeah, I'll bring this lead out a bit more. Or you go over here and you find just moving this green lead up a little bit, the hum goes down, or moving these heater wires a bit that way, the hum goes down, moving this, so you can find quite often, 9 times out of 10, what's called lead dress, means dressing the leads, can greatly reduce the hum, and you can find a position, you can almost go like lots of hum, no hum, right, that's it, job done, just leave that there and your hum is gone. Dozens of times I've had exactly that sort of thing. Again, nothing I did made the slightest difference. I moved every single lead, I waggled everything, no change of any description in the hum. So I was getting pretty close to giving up when I tell you what I did actually. I was messing around with this volume control, of course, to get the hum, and it sounded a little bit scratchy, and I thought, that I'd cleaned it, of course, and that hadn't improved it. So I thought, that sounds like a little bit of DC on that pot. Nothing to do with the hum, just a little bit of DC on there. And maybe I'll try and sort that out whilst I'm scratching my head. So I took the probe of my multimeter here, and I was just going to measure on the wiper of the volume pot, so that's the middle volume there, to ground, and I was expecting to find a few volts of DC leaking through a capacitor or something, and that's what would be causing that scratchiness on the pot. As I brought the probe up to this contact here, the hum disappeared. Not touching it, just a couple of millimeters away, and as I took the probe away, the hum came back. Brought the probe closer. It's not connected to anything, this, by the way. It wasn't even connected to ground at that time. It was just connected to the multimeter. The hum went away. Now, of course, this is the main volume control, so this is where the signal is. So I thought, what the heck? So then I got a screwdriver, keeping it simple, throw away the meter. It's obviously nothing to do with it. I got the screwdriver, and the same thing. I could bring the screwdriver up to this central pin, not touching it. If I touched it, you get a, obviously as the signal goes through the amp. Just bring it up close, and the hum not completely disappeared, but went down, down to about 10% of what it was. So that was something I haven't come across before, and spent, as you can probably imagine, an hour tarting around with that, thinking, what the hell's going on here? Right, so eventually I started to suspect the sort of thing that might be going on. I got myself a shortish length of wire like this, stripped off the end and soldered it onto there, like that, and then just left it hanging. I'll see if I can mimic that, because I've obviously desoldered it now, so just left it hanging like that. And sure enough, when I turned on the amp, because I can't get my hands anywhere near here, of course, because as soon as I come up anywhere near here, it's, you know, huge pickup and racket coming through. So you can't pick up this wire and start moving it around. So I soldered it on and left it, turned it on. There was a lot of hum, and then I started moving this wire around, and I could find a position of this wire where the hum went. It's not connected to anything, you notice. I could find a position of the wire where the hum went. Well, it didn't go completely, but it went down enough to keep me happy. So what I think is going on here, and it is of course the only explanation, is that we have here a little kind of aerial, obviously, and this is picking up hum, this wire, and at a certain position it picks up enough hum, low level of course, in anti-phase to the hum that's already on this pin, and it kind of cancels it out. That's what's going on. Now, it's very unorthodox, of course, to have this as a solution, but I've tried everything else, and believe me, I've got some tricks over the years. Over 40 years, I've built up some tricks. I've tried every single one, everything I know about, and nothing has had any effect. Now, if you're watching this and you're screaming at me, "Oh, Stu, didn't you try ABC?" Well, please let me know in the comments, and I will be educated. I thought you'd be interested in that, but even more interesting what I'm going to do now, because my plan is to put a little bit of insulated tinned copper wire on there. This is a bit floppy, it didn't sort of stay where I wanted it to go. As I bent it, it just kind of sprang back into where it was. So I'm going to put a little short length, probably only this length, and I might even put a little single turn in it to make a coil, tack it on there, and now of course I can move it and it'll stay where I move it. And I haven't done this yet, by the way, and we can see if we can find a position where we can tune out the hum. Now of course this is very critical, because we don't want to pick up a load of hum which swamps the hum that's on there already, so that no matter where we put this, we get worse hum than we had before. Okay, enough chat. Let me get that installed and see if this will play ball. It was a couple of days ago that I did this, so I'm anxious to see if it still works. Right, here we are. You can see what I've done there. Where's my little pointer? I've just put this little coil of tinned copper wire soldered onto the central pad of the volume pot here, and I've got the volume pot in the worst hum position. That's there. And I would say that was about the same as when we didn't have the coil on, which is interesting. Right now, can we improve on this by okay, that's significantly worse. Listen. Can you hear that? 10 times worse. So we're kind of onto something. That's going down now. Going down a lot. That is acceptable. That's even better. It's still there, but that's about a quarter of what it was. And as I turn the volume, that's full volume and there's no hum. That's half volume and there's no hum. That's that middle position. Can we get it any better? Well, what do you reckon? Should we leave it at that, or shall we? Still not great. I'd say it's gone down to maybe a third. Okay, the Acme Hum Reducer Mark II. We've got 4 coils there, and I can already hear the hum's a lot worse, but that's okay. we haven't started playing around yet. Oh, that is dramatically worse. Whoa! Oh, it doesn't like that. So far, it's a lot worse. That's interesting. So even in that position there, interesting, you can kind of tune it out a bit there. That's the lowest position, but that's still not very good. Okay, alright, now my take on this, where's the original? There's the original, look, quite a lot smaller, is that we're now picking up too much hum from on our little aerial here, and we're over swamping out the hum that's on that pin and getting worse hum than we. Interesting, bring my hand up to there. So we need a smaller rather than a larger, so that was that experiment done. I think I might just make up this again, but with only half a turn, and just see if that's any better, and then if not, we'll just revert to this and call it a day. Okay, my friends, here we are 3 hours later. It's been just a labour of love, this. To be honest with you, I've just been kind of interested in experimenting, and the wire wasn't enough alone, and I found a combination just by pure trial and error of this plate here, earthed plate, and this antennae here in exactly that position. If I put that in any other position, we get lots of hum. There's the hum now. Very bearable, and this is in the worst hum position. And just look, if I happen to just move this. Now if I put it back over here, it's hard to do with the pliers, but basically when that goes there, the hum goes to nothing. So I'm just going to hot melt glue that in there like that, and that has reduced the hum by about 90%. Interesting, don't you think? I mean, all we're doing of course is tuning, finding a little kind of tuning hum in anti-phase to add to the hum that is on the wiper of that pot for reasons that I've been unable to ascertain, having tried every trick in the book. So it's unusual, I've never done anything like it before, it works, and the hum is at an acceptable level, which it was not before. There you go. So I'm going to glue that in there and call this a wrap. Well, there you go. I think I enjoyed that one. I'm not quite sure. I hope you did. Very unorthodox repair that. I've never done anything like that, and probably never will again. But I was completely unable to nail down that hum. Well, there you go, the Matamp ORST, quite a rare amp, and I hope you enjoyed having a look at it and following me through as I attempted to get the thing working again. Well, many thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.